Okay, so the Torah says that which means on Yontif you're allowed to do anything which is the ochel chol nefesh. Whatever you need to do to eat on Yontif, Torah says it's permissible. But there's an argument about what this pasuk means. One opinion is that the Torah says hu levadai, that alone you could do. So the Talmud explains what's the emphasis of the word alone. It sounds like the Torah is trying to exclude something. So the Gemara explains you could only do the actual things that are needed to eat on Yontif, but not something which is just a preparatory thing, not something which is needed as a step before the actual food. So, for example, the Alter Rebbe says cooking is considered part of the actual food, because that even though the fire, you're not eating the fire, but it's Alter has a whole few lines in the beginning of the laws of Yontif where he explains that by the fire heating up the food directly, it's considered like the fire itself is part of the not just a preparation to cook the food, but it's considered part of the food itself. But other items which are just a preparation to cook the food, it says you can't do it. But there's another opinion in the Gemara, another way to look at this pasuk. It says Ya'aselachem, you should do for you, and it puts it as a blanket statement. And the Talmud says, what does it mean? You should do for you with this blanket statement. Do everything that's for you, whatever helps you. Do anything. So the Talmud says this includes kol tzarchechem, whatever you need. So which one is it? Is it only the things which are directly needed for the food, and anything which is not directly, just a preparation, a step before it, is forbidden? Or you ought to do anything that helps you. So Talmud says the conclusion is it depends. If it's something that you can't do before Yontif, so then the halacha is that you could do it on Yontif. But if it's something that could be done before Yontif, so then we say that only things which are directly related to the food itself are okay. The things which are just a preparation for it aren't okay. So for the example that's given is a shput, a spit that's used to roast things, and their spit has become crooked. So you don't have to create a brand new spit, you just need to straighten it out. But that itself requires breaking the laws of Yontif. I allowed to fix it and put it in place on Yontif. So the Alter Rebbe says, since that could be done before Yontif, and that's only a preparation, it's not actual cooking, it's just a preparation for it, so Alter Rebbe says you're not allowed to. What if it broke on Yontif? So then there's a discussion. It's not a simple answer, but then already it's in the same realm of something which couldn't be done before Yontif because it wasn't broken before Yontif. You need to straighten it out until Yontif when it actually broke. So we're not really using roasting with a spit necessarily on Yontif. But so what does that have to do with us? There's a lot to do with us. Lighting a fire, it would seem, is something that's fine to do because you need to light the fire to eat the food on Yontif. But the Rabbanan, Chachamim, made it forbidden to light a fire on Yontif because it's like it looks like a malacha. It looks like you're creating something brand new. Noilad. Looks like you're creating something brand new. And since it looks like you're creating something brand new, therefore, you're not allowed to create a new flame on Yontif. If there's an existing flame, so then you're allowed to use it. We're not allowed to create a new flame. According to most opinions, except for the Taz, that's only rabbinical prohibition. So rabbinically prohibited to make a new flame. Now, there is a need to have a fire on Yontif itself to cook your food. So it should be seemingly forbidden to add fire on Yontif, to add fuel onto fire on Yontif, because you could also do that before Yontif too. You could also put the logs out on before Yontif and have it cooking the whole Yontif. So why is it permissible to add fuel to the fire? Why is it permissible to make the flame greater? Seemingly that all could be done before Yontif. So it's not considered something that could be done before Yontif. Why? Because to light the initial flame and just to keep one candle burning, that's not considered a great loss. You have one candle burning, so what? It's not considered a great expenditure. However, to have a whole fire burning with lots of logs and making it burn the entire yontif, that's really considered a greater expense, and therefore it's not required that you light that before yontif. So let's talk about some practical halachas about this fire that we now have. We're allowed. We said you can't light it on yontif, light it before yontif, light it, make it bigger. Let's talk about what this fire can do. What you're allowed to do. Number one, although we said that you're allowed to cook on yontif, you're only allowed to cook, as we discussed last week, for Jews. Not to cook for non-Jews, and therefore you're not allowed to invite a non-Jew to eat at your house on yontif, because you'll invite them, even though you invited them before yontif. But because you're going to have to entertain a non-Jew, you might end up cooking extra for him, and therefore it's forbidden to invite a non-Jew to your house on yontif. Also, if let's say you have a pet and you want to get something for your pet on yontif, so are you allowed to carry something outside to bring it to your pet? The answer is no, you can't. You're allowed to muktzah, something that's animal food, huh? Feeding is one thing. What if you have to carry it through where there's no erev? You have to carry it outside. So you're allowed to do something for your own needs, but not for the needs of a non-Jew, not for the needs of an animal. Therefore, you're not allowed to carry it even outside on yontif. Speaking of carrying outside, I don't want to forget mentioning this. It looks very religious, but it's not really so kosher. It happens every yontif. My candle went out. I need a candle. What should I do? You go to your neighbor. You go to Shmuel Dahan. Okay, can I just light a candle over here and bring it to my house? So sure. You look so religious. You're walking in the street with a candle, so holy and religious. It's not so holy and religious because a wind can come and blow it out, as it happens every single year. Also, you have to come back to the house and get another candle. So if there is a great need, you're allowed to do it. But because it's likely that it can go out, it's not considered the most kosher thing to do. So you're allowed to do things for your needs and not just for needs of food only. There's a tradition the Chacham received that even though the Torah explicitly says you're allowed to cook for food, but the Chacham received, Beis Hillel is of the opinion that once the Torah allows us to cook to eat, we're allowed to cook in general. But the word in general has to be qualified. Not allowed to cook for no reason. Yeah, it has to be for the need of yontif. So, in other words, although the Torah says cooking is okay, it doesn't, and that's not only okay. It's not only okay for the needs of yontif specifically. It's not only okay just for your need to eat. Lighting a fire is also okay for other reasons, as we'll see. But you're not. It has to be for the needs of yontif. In other words, the Torah says it doesn't have to be specifically for food. It could be for other needs as well, but it has to be for the needs of yontif. So the language of the Gemara, which is every yeshiva student knows, since it was the Torah allowed us to use various things that we're not allowed to use on Shabbos, on Yontif, for the need of food, it's also allowed to be used not for the need of food, but there's a condition that Tosfos says that it has to have some need for that day itself. What Tosfos' proof? Tosfos' proof is like this. It says in the Gemara that if you cook on Yontif for the sake of eating after Yontif, the punishment is whipping. What malchus? Which means that it's biblically forbidden. Why is it biblically forbidden? The Torah says if you're allowed to cook for the needs of Yontif, allowed to cook also for not when there's no need. So Tosfos says from here we see it has to be some need on Yontif. So this is very relevant. A lot of people make this mistake happened last year. There is an Erev Tavshilin. What's an Erev Tavshilin? In order to allow us to cook from Friday, when Yontif falls out on Friday, and you want to cook on Friday for Shabbos, so the Torah says, the Chacham said you should use an Erev Tavshilin. By you making the Erev Tavshilin before Yontif, you're allowed to cook on Friday for Shabbos. Now, why is it allowed? You're cooking from Yom Tov to Shabbos. So the reason it's okay is because if many guests would come to your house on Friday and they would need to eat all that food, so it's not considered cooking only for Shabbos, it's also considered cooking for Yom Tov because maybe guests will come. And so there's a rule. You have to cook. You're allowed to cook on Friday, but you have to be able to consume that food on Friday. You can't cook and it being finished on Friday night. That's not okay. The only reason why it's allowed is because it's able to be consumed on Friday. Now, let's say you're cooking on this year, Yom Tov's on Monday. What do you mean, from Friday to Shabbos? You're allowed to eat the next day, but you can't finish cooking it on Friday night. It can't be finished, can't be only ready on Friday night. It has to be ready before Shabbos starts. Because the only reason why it's allowed is because if guests would come, they'd be able to eat it. But if not even ready, then guests can't eat it anyways. So you're allowed to cook it and eat it on Friday night, but it has to be in a way that's possible for that scenario to happen. The guests could show up and the guests could finish it all on Friday. But what's relevant to us, this year it's not that way. This year it's Monday and Tuesday. Can you cook on Monday for Tuesday? Can you cook on Sunday night and have in mind for Monday and Tuesday? So halacha is that you're allowed to cook on Sunday night for Monday and have enough food that will last you till Tuesday. You don't have to just cook the bare minimum that will only last for Monday. You got to cook lots of food that will last for Tuesday as well. However, you cannot cook only for Tuesday. You cannot cook with the intent you're only cooking this for Tuesday. Oh, like by the Erev Shilin, where your intent is for Shabbos. You're just allowed to do it because if guests will show up, you could eat it that day. With Monday and Tuesday and regular Yom Tov, you cannot cook for the sake of Tuesday on Monday. Not only that, you're not allowed to wash your dishes on Monday. In order to be able to have your house nice and ready for Monday night, you're not allowed to wash your dishes on Monday, which is also on Shabbos. You're not allowed to wash the dishes on. You can have a cleaning lady come. You want cleaning lady to come and wash the dishes. Can a cleaning lady wash the dishes? It would seem. I think because it's through a non-Jew, it's not you. Can a non-Jew prepare your house on Monday for Tuesday? So the language of Shulchan Aruch is that they're not allowed to. You're only allowed to do things like you don't want to be in a messy house. You want your house to look nice on Monday, but it seems that there would be no way to wash the dishes because you're washing dishes just for Tuesday. Just like you can't tell the non-Jew to set your table up for Monday night, you can't do that. So it seems that washing dishes is the same category. There may be some opinions which say it's allowed, but I haven't seen any. Could be there's some opinions say it's allowed because it seems exactly the same scenario as setting your table up. So you can't set your table up. If you say you want her to clean the rooms, your room should be nice. Okay, you want that on Monday also, your room should be nice. But to prepare it on Monday afternoon, so Monday night should be ready. That's wrong. Same as with washing dishes. If you need the dishes, if you need the dishes for Monday afternoon, okay, so you need one dish Monday afternoon, you should go wash all the dishes. You could also wash all dishes if you need them for Monday afternoon. But if you need the dishes just for Monday night, that's a problem. Okay. Same as also Friday and Saturday. Right. Only if you need it, because you need it for Saturday. But Shmuel has a big family, Baruch Hashem, so he has lots of dishes. So he says like us, and we don't really need it for Monday afternoon. He's asking a good question. Monday afternoon, you can't wash the dishes because you don't need any more dishes. If you need a dish, if you need one of the dishes, you wash all the dishes. That's what it says. It says if you need one dish, you ought to wash them all. Okay. Getting back to laws of cooking.
Wait, before we do fire, Yom Tov, you're allowed to raise it up, but you're not allowed to raise it up.
We're gonna get there. Yes. So, okay. You're not allowed to create a new fire. But if you didn't have a fire ready, you want to go to do it, that's okay according to most opinions. Except for the Taz, who says that it's biblically forbidden to create a new fire, according to him, so then you're not asked to go to do it either. But according to most opinions, which is how we paskin that the only prohibition of creating a new fire in Yom Tov is a rabbinical prohibition, so therefore you're allowed to ask her to go to do it as well. Okay, let's say you have a cigarette and cigarette's about to go out, and you want to light a match or a candle with whatever you want. You want to light something with that cigarette that's about to go out. So just like we say, you can't light a new fire because it looks like you're creating something brand new. So also, since the cigarette's about to go out, you're not allowed to light a match from a cigarette. Okay. Are you allowed to use electricity to light something up on Yom Tov? Let's say you have a gas oven that works through electricity. You're not allowed to light it on Yom Tov. If it's not electric, then you are allowed to put the gas on. And however, when you light the gas, how do you do it? You shouldn't use paper or something, which is going to go right away out. You should try to light it directly. Try to light it, not use something in the middle. If you don't have anything in the middle,
The barbecue is
using a barbecue.
no, me. Somebody's using the barbecue. Candle or something.
On a bit different kinds of barbecue, but let's say it's a gas thing, and so the gas coming out. Put a match there, so we'll go on.
Yeah.
Question is, can you put the match lit by a candle, or the candle itself? It's better to have a candle itself than to have a candle lighting the match and the match lighting the gas. Okay. If you can't, it's a barbecue, it's hard to reach it, then you could do it, but don't use paper. Use better a match using paper. Also, okay, you're allowed to light a fire to make your life easier. So technically, you could go to your friend's house and constantly get fire from his house. You don't have to have a candle here, but you're allowed to light another candle in your house to make your life easier. You don't have to light. You don't have to keep on going back to the person's house you borrowed from. You're allowed to light a candle just because of you like candles. So it does mention about having a festive meal on Yom Tov, even by day. It does say such a thing of having candles by the meal, but people don't do it now. That's not the minhag. Like candles by the day meals, as it is a minhag on Purim and other day meals. You like candles. For some reason, it's not the minhag. At least Tay Gabriel writes he hasn't seen anybody do it. So, but there is a concept also lighting of candles in shul. It says even if no one's in shul, huh?
Shabbos you did light it by the table, no?
Yeah, but let's say that by Shabbos day don't light candles. So also in a shul, it says that even during the daytime, it's a way to honor Hashem to have candles in the shul. So there is a possibility of adding candles, not for the sake of food, but for other reasons. So the question is, are you allowed to do that in Yom Tov? So it's not so. Second. Okay.
Because there's no purpose of food.
It's not for the purpose of food, but we said you're allowed to do it for other needs as well. So according to the Taz, it's biblically forbidden, so there will be issues. But according to other opinions, it's not our custom. But some people have a custom of lighting a candle for yard site. Whenever the yard site, not yard site, our custom is light a candle for yard site. So let's say you have light a yard site candle. Best thing is to light the yard site candle before Yom Tov starts. Let's say there's a yard site on Yom Tov. You have yard site after Shavuos, no? Light a candle before Yom Tov starts, like a long candle. That's the best way to do it. People have another minhag, which is light a candle whenever they do yizkar. It's not our minhag. People have a minhag to light a candle whenever they do yizkar. Also, should be use better oil or something that will last until yizkar. But other people allow, if you didn't do it before, to light through a goy. Some people allow that. Okay. Some people, let's say you have, okay, regarding making the candle fire bigger. So we said if it's a gas oven, you can make it bigger, but not smaller. If it's electric is a problem because if electric, sometimes the way it works is when we make it bigger, what you're really doing is you're switching from one element to another element. And you're actually lighting it from new now. You're not just making it bigger. So you have to know what your electric oven, how exactly it works. You can't make a electric oven bigger or smaller, because making it smaller or bigger, you might be changing from one heating thing to another heating thing. When turn lights off in your house and see exactly how your thing works. Gas is good. You now want to make it lower, right? Yeah. More importantly, you can't turn on the electric thing that lights it. You can't put that on the yontif. They put on before yontif.
What about if you want to use another burner? Turn it fast. I guess. Yeah, but there is a possibility for you can go fast.
I understand. You turn it on.
You turn it normally, and you turn it, and then gas starts.
Yeah.
But if you turn it real fast, the gas line without cooking, without the electric.
Will turn on?
No.
Okay. So what's the question?
The question is.
How can you turn it on that way?
Can I light another flame like the burner?
I don't know how it works. I don't know how it works. It depends how it works. It depends why that's happening. It might be happening because you did turn on something electric, but it wasn't fast enough. It might be that you skipped electricity. If you skipped electric by doing it faster somehow, why didn't it make a spark? Did you activate it but not create a spark, or did you not activate it at all? I don't know. It's very possible that it's fine, but I don't want to say now without knowing more about it.
You can have a.
You cannot take a chance because it might be the time if you leave it, it's.
There is a psikresha, suffix psikresha. So here's what may not help you. May not help you is there are opinions which say that if you're, let's say you have like some of our water heater thing that we have over here. Let's say it's as it often does gets used up over Yontif. I let add more water to it. It's not so simple. So it's going to turn the thermostat. I'll turn the thermostat on. So there are the Taiga Gavril says that you are allowed to. According to one opinion, says you are allowed to. According to Alter Rebbe, it seems you're not allowed to. And the reason is, even though it may not turn on, and you don't know if it will or if it won't, but we learned a couple months ago, according to Alter Rebbe, suffix psikresha is a problem. Remember that shit is suffix psikresha. If you,
What I was thinking about.
The Alter Rebbe discusses a scenario where you don't know if this thing will for sure happen. In other words, like let's say, if you made it colder, it for sure will turn on, but you don't know if it's going to making it colder. You don't know what degree.
Until it goes down. When it's, let's say, 1/3 down.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Very good idea. Why not? As long as it's still on, why is it a problem? Yeah, it's okay, but you're not causing it to turn on. Not causing.
Don't know what the temperature is inside, and same as don't know what the water temperature.
You are allowed to open and close your oven, even though it does affect the oven. It makes the oven turn on and off, etc. But that's not that's okay. So it seems adding water to the thing while it's not cold yet and still on, the light is still on. It seems that wouldn't be an issue. Definitely, you should do it in a way that's not going to make it go off. But if you add a lot of water quickly, I guess make it go off. Are you allowed to put your garbage in the incinerator in those big buildings? The answer is no, because you're like asking the non-Jew to light it on Yontif. Okay, there's something else funny. What you mentioned before. I want to mention. What was it? Okay, the Alter Rebbe discusses putting meat on top of coals. He says even though it does cause the coals to get extinguished, it's okay. It's not considered a problem. This I want to mention. Let's say your food is burning, and you want to make the fire smaller because your food's burning. So instead of making this fire smaller, you should make a new flame. Don't make the fire smaller. Some people do allow you to do it, but the bottom line is that you shouldn't. Also, you can't say I want to make it smaller because the gas is so expensive. I'll say that doesn't help. It is possible that maybe put a blech on top of it, make it a little less hot. But according to everybody, if it's going to burn, your food's going to burn, you ought to make it smaller. If the food's going to burn, you ought to make it lower. Some people say, I think this is according to everybody, they say you're allowed to fill up your pot with water, and you know it's going to boil, and it's going to cause it to go out. You're not directly causing it to go out, so you're allowed to the top, and then when it boils over, it's going to extinguish. Yeah, so according to the Torah, really says you're allowed to do that. If according to the Torah, also says it doesn't burn. Okay. Let's say it's not lit well. It's not lit well. So I'm not sure. Hold on a second. Okay. If you can't fall asleep at night and the lights are on, so some say that you're allowed to ask a non-Jew to turn the lights off on Yantif. Okay, a few more halachas. Not on Shabbos, right? Another scenario where you're allowed to add a lot of food is you only need a certain amount of food for the first day of Yantiv, is it makes it taste better. Makes it taste better, you're allowed to add a lot of food. But again, you're not allowed to say that it's for the second day of Yantiv. You're not allowed to say those words. I'm doing this because I also want to have food for the next day of Yantiv. You're not allowed to actually say those words. Doesn't say that. Doesn't say it. Also, if I accidentally lit a flame, that's okay as well. I'm not sure what the Torah bill means, but the words he says is that if you lit the fire, didn't go on good, you're allowed to extinguish it and relight it. I'm not sure what he's referring to, because we learned that if the fire is not lit, how can you relight it? That's the words he says. If you lit it, then it's not going well, you're allowed to relight it. Not sure exactly what he's referring to. Oh, there are some things you're not allowed to cook on Yantif. We said that you're allowed to cook on Yantif. Why can you cook on Yantif? Because biblically, you're allowed to cook on Yantif, But the Chacham say whatever you can do before Yantif, you should do before Yantif. But cooking you can't do before Yantif. Why? Because you want to have good, fresh cooked food. There are some things that are considered to be better cooked before Yantif, and those things you can't cook on Yantif. For example, you're not allowed to make an apple dessert on Yantif, which is better eaten cold, because that you can make before Yantif as well. The Alter Rebbe also says noodles are better eaten day old, and therefore you cannot make noodles on Yantif, because noodles are not necessary to make now. You can have noodles made from a day ago, you put them in your soup, they're fine. So he says that you shouldn't make noodles on Yantif. Okay, anything else I want to add was now we had smoking. Smoking is not such a great thing to do on Yantif, but if you do smoke on Yantif, a lot of things you have to consider. First of all, better to open the box before Yantif. If you can open it on Yantif, open it in a way that you're destroying the box, not in a way that you're creating a new box. There's also the letters on the cigarette. You should try to erase those before Yantif. There are other issues, like what about the accumulated ashes on the end of the cigarette? Now to shake it off. You should put the cigarette when you're finished. Oh, one thing I didn't mention before: when you light a candle on Yantif, you should let it go out. You shouldn't by itself, right? Okay. Some people are strict not to don't let the ashes go into food. Let the ashes go specifically into an ashtray. Some people do not use cigarettes on the first day of Yantif. They only use on the second day of Yantif. The Rogachev they asked him if I had to smoke on Yantif. He said, because you only do things that you need, right? So you need to smoke on Yantif. The Rogachev said, I don't know, and only someone who smokes can know. Only someone who smokes can know the need of smoking. Oh, that's another point I want to mention. The last thing: if the gas goes out, and it's dangerous to have the gas on, so you can close it, but it's good to close it with the shinui, close it with a change. Not the issue is the muktzah of the so they close it with the shinui. That's fine. Any questions or comments, criticism, tomatoes? Okay. Shkoyach.